Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. So today is the final episode on the Tesla. After this, the Tesla is no more. What I mean by that is that it's pretty much done. So the suspension has been the bane of my life, the air suspension for the Tesla. We finally have got one, and really in the nick of time, really, because the suspension is starting to make a lot of noise, and that's because it was damaged. Although it was not unsafe to use, that's the reason why I've used it. It was absolutely fine. It was holding air. It still is holding air, but it needs to be replaced because it's been in an accident. So I finally got one. We're going to replace it today, and I'm going to solve an issue with the that's been with the car since I bought it, and you're going to hear what that is in a moment. What it is on the Tesla, and it's a problem with the Model 3, but also affects the Model S as well, and other Teslas. When you accelerate, you can hear this clicking sound, and that clicking sound is because the splines are on the rear wheel drive. They're dry, and they are basically they're just dry. So when they go dry like that, you can hear clicking noise. This problem also affects other cars like the Nissan 350Z. So we're going to fix that as well. So let's get those bits and pieces sorted. Okay, so suspension day. So the first thing we need to do, obviously you're going to take the wheels off, but before we even do that, we need to disconnect the power to the compressor, and by doing that it won't try to top up when we take off the suspension. So we'll do that and then we'll go back to it. Okay, that's disconnected. That was a bit harder than I originally thought, but hey, it's done now, so that's the main thing. So now that that is disconnected, we can now take the wheel off. So let's go and do that now. Okay, wheel off. Let's see the job in hand. So it's not very challenging. We got one bolt here, which is a 12mm that does the airline, and we'll release that slowly. We then got an 18 just down there to do, and then we got 3 13s at the top. Now when we release that, the air, you'll hear the air coming out, and that will release the pressure on the actual suspension, and then hopefully it will then just drop down and allow me to do it. If not, we'll have to undo this bolt here, which will allow this to drop down, and will then, well, hopefully the suspension will drop. Let's see how we get on. Right, time to release the air. This might take some time. Here she goes. Start to hear her coming out now. There she goes. Once she's out, we'll unscrew the rest. Okay, so that line is now out. It's looking like we will have to drop the hub again, but that's no biggie. We just basically drop this nut here, and then that knuckle will drop down, and then the whole thing will, what we'll do, we'll support it on the jack. We'll take this out, and then we'll drop it down. Right, so old suspension, new suspension that's going on. This, don't know if you can see that, that's got a slight bend in it. Now before, this is absolutely fine, but I started to hear a noise, which is why I've stopped driving the car for a while and wanted to get this changed as soon as possible. That was always on the car to change it, and that's a warning to you guys. If you ever have any suspension impact, change them. This is the second time this has happened to me. Even though the suspension looks alright, it probably isn't, but you can see that there's a clear kink in this arm that wasn't there before, which means that this has got worse. When I checked it, it was absolutely fine. Also, there is a, hear that? That's the sound I was hearing, which is what made me think that we need to change this quicker than, yeah, it's worse than I thought. So always change your suspension if they're even remotely been any kind of impact. Let's try and get this on now. Okay, in between the rain showers, I am absolutely soaked, and so is all my equipment. But anyway, we've got that back on. It was easier to put on than I thought. Actually, once you take this off, you can push the suspension down. That gives you all the play that you need. So we've got a new suspension back into place. We have also got it all connected up as well, and that much better, no noise. So what we've got to do now is just put this hub back into this knuckle, and what I'm going to do with this knuckle, I'm just going to give it some lithium grease in there, just to give it some leverage. This device here, if you're wondering what this is, it is actually used by the suspension as well as the it's not the headlight adjuster, it's actually used by the suspension to know how high the ride is, or the suspension is. So that's what it uses to know the height when you set a different level. So it's important that that moves, and clearly it does. So that's good. Often in Teslas, these are known to go hard or to seize up. Okay, let's do this now. Right, we're all torqued up now, so all the bolts are torqued up to what they should be. We're going to put the wheel on. Once we get the wheel on, we'll lower the car down. When we do that, the car will most likely drop until we can connect the compressor, then it should find its right level. So hopefully that's what should happen. Let's see if it does in reality. Right, so as you can see, that suspension is pretty low. I mean, mate, I wouldn't mind if it rode like that. That's a nice low ride on that, but that won't be very good for the car. So let's just plug the system back in. So that is it back in. Let's get the car powered on, and then what should happen, it should hopefully come to life, and it should pump the suspension up. Let's have a look. Press the brake in. There you go. So the suspension's going up. You can hear the compressors come to life. And that is now at the correct height. And I can actually take my jack out. And it's raining again. Oh, this rain's not letting up, is it? Right, okay, so the suspension's back up and running. The compressor's on. That's it going there. And what it's doing, it's pumping air into the tank, which is over there, which is what it's supposed to do. So it's doing as it's designed to, which is great. Right, let's avoid this shower. Right, on to the next job. Right, that clicking sound that you heard is a common problem on Teslas or Model 3s and incidentally some Nissan 350Zs. It's basically because of a dry joint on the spline where it's not been lubricated. And this Tesla particularly has a very tight center hub. It is torqued down to 250 newton meters or 180 foot-pounds of torque, which is quite tight. And when this noise occurs, what tends to happen is that Tesla will come and they will change the center nut and then pull it back. But actually what you need to do is you need to pack it with some anti-seize grease, which is what we're going to do now. But before we do that, we need to loosen up that hub, and to do that I need a breaker bar. Right, hub's off, so let's take off this bolt, center bolt, and there she comes. Then we've got the two washers, locking washers at that. Let's get, bear with me, always a bit difficult that. Okay, and look at that, the sun's coming out. After all the rain that we've had today, which has been a real pain, the sun's now coming off. Right, there's number one. I'm going to put them in the order that they go in. And then here's number two. There we go. It's number two. Right. Now we're just going to knock the hub in and then we'll just clean it out. Okay, so we've knocked that hub in, and as I was knocking it in I could see the dust coming out of it, which clearly shows that it's dry. So what we're going to do, we're just going to squirt that out with some brake dust cleaner. So it's going to clean it out, and we'll let that go in a bit. Here we go. That's moving much more now. Before it was stuck. So we know that now we got a good that we've cleaned out all the gump and stuff that should be out. I'll just go and get a cloth and clean that up. Okay, so we've put some grease in there, some Molly, I think it's Molly cum or some Molly something greased, and we're just gonna make it go all the way in so it lubricates. Okay, that's fine. And then what we'll do is we'll just clean off all the excess, because we really do not want this stuff to go onto the disc brakes, because that will be bad, as you can imagine. Okay, that looks That noise you keep hearing, by the way, is my door opening and closing because I've got the key in my pocket. It's great for when you get in the car, but a nuisance when you're working on it. Okay. Right. That should be fine. Should be in there now. I'll do a little bit more just to make sure, but other than that, I'm happy with that. All right. So that's done, and I've just cleaned up the this with some brake cleaner. So let's put these back on now. And then we just stick on this. And as you can see, there's a line here where it was the last time this was obviously done, because you can tell that this is a common problem with these cars. Actually, it may not be, because this green line I notice is all over the car, and that's probably from the factory. It's what they use as a mark so they can work out where things go. Right, that's back in. So we'll torque that up. Unfortunately, I don't have my torque wrench with me, but we'll torque that up to 250, and then we'll take it for a test drive. Perfect. Now I'll do the other one, but I'll do it off camera, because now you know how to do one, you know how to do the other side. Okay, so wheels are all back together, all torqued up as well. Now let's see if we've solved the clicking sound. Okay, so clicking sound has been fine, it's sorted. However, I still have a sound with the suspension, the front suspension, and it is so annoying because we have replaced every single component except for one component, which when I check seems to be fine, and that's a lower arm. I'm going to change it anyway. It's got no damage on it whatsoever, and when I inspected it, I took it apart to see if the arms or anything had any play in it. It's absolutely fine, but I just cannot figure out where this shaking was. It sounds as if the whole suspension has come loose, but I have checked every nut and bolt, I have torqued down every single thing, and yet I can still hear this like it literally sounds like a bag of nuts are being shaken. That's what it sounds like, and it's just the most disconcerting sound ever, but I just cannot figure out where it is, this sound, but I'll figure it out. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell notification so you're notified whenever we release any new videos. Now, we are going to be going back to the TT next week, because a lot of you have been asking, where's the TT? The TT is going to be back next week, although there may be another car coming to the channel, depending on how this week pans out. If it is, I'll give you some clues via Instagram, because I've been pretty quiet on Instagram, if I'm fair. Okay, that's it. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.